it's funny, you know, with all the money plays and money schemes out there, and with how much this game evolves over the year and between years, that the gun bunch is really still the best defensive formation in Madden. And specifically in this case, currently, the gun bunch out of the West Coast Playbook. You know, watching Ultimate League for the past couple of weekends, it's clear that even the best of the best in this game struggle with defending it. So I want to take some time over the past couple of days to really break it down, see why it's so powerful, and if there's a coverage and certain adjustments with that coverage that we can make every single time, that for the most part we can shut down this gun bunch out of the West Coast. So we'll go over that in this video. I'd like to say it's kind of worked out funny. Yesterday, Zan from Mudhead.com posted a very similar idea to this. So his idea was using cover 6 to stop the bunch, but it had, you know, I don't think it was kind of as thought out as it could have been. So there was a few things wrong with it. Mainly, there was no quarterback spy. So if there's no quarterback spy, you're not going to be able to chase down any scrambling quarterbacks once things start to break down. So that's a huge flaw. I think you shouldn't be in pass defense without a quarterback spy in this game. And secondly, it was a really specific adjustment for one really specific play. So that was the dig HB out, and specifically with the max protect adjustment. So what I want to show you here is very similar. We're going to be using cover 6, but the adjustments are a bit different. And I want to show you how it's going to work for every single, well, not every single one. We're actually only going to go through a few of the better plays, but they cover most of the plays that you'll see in this playbook. So I put, you know, a fair bit of time into labbing this, and I think it's really worth it. I think it's really good. So if this helps you out, I'd like to encourage you to leave a like. That helps me out in return. And if this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, I'd make sure to subscribe. There's going to be a lot of other stuff just like this that are going to help you win more games in Madden. Okay, secondly, I want to go over, just before we get started, that if you're an expert in this formation, if you've been using it a lot, if you've been successful with it, please leave a comment down below if there are any setups that I didn't go over, if I didn't show them correctly, or if I didn't show them at all. I'd really like to know, because, you know, obviously I'm not going to be able to cover every single possible adjustment in this one video. I'm sure I missed a lot, but I think this is at least, you know, 90% of what you're going to see with, you know, the least amount of effort. So we can kind of get deep into some of the real hardcore adjustments, but I think this will cover 90% of things. So anyway, let's get started. So I have, kind of broken it down here. I'm not going to go over the run plays. The mid draw is really the one that gives everybody trouble. Draw is a draw. I mean, I don't really have a concise way of stopping that yet, but you can really just hope for block sheds and good user play. Anyway, wide receiver post is, I mean, most of these plays are really good, but I'm going to kind of skip some of them because they work out the same as some other plays anyway. So wide receiver post and deep attack, I'm not going to go over it just because you see similar post, actually a much better post than a dig halfback out. I'm not going to go over, say, inside cross because that C route in corner strike and so on like that. So actually I'm going to start with corner strike because it'll help me kind of explain why I do my adjustments for this. And so I'm going to come out in 3-4 under, cover 6. Obviously it can be any cover 6, doesn't matter. And what I like to do is, when I'm running, I've been running a lot of cover 6 just stock lately. Or sorry, not stock, but just against really any play. What I do is I keep auto flip on. So what that does is that if you keep auto flip on, it's going to align the cover 2 side of the cover 6 to the weak side of the offensive formation. So in this case, you see over here, you know, you have the cloud flat over here to the solo wide receiver. So that's going to happen every single time. So really the quickest way to align your defense, by the way, I should say that preferably we want the cover 2 side to the trip side over here. Okay, and we'll go over that shortly, why you want that. So immediately what I do after you call the play and everybody's kind of getting towards the line of scrimmage, you just quickly flip the play. You don't even have to think about it. You know that you're going to be aligned properly. Okay, so now you have the cover 2 side to the trip side. The main reason why we do that is because any of these corner routes, so you'll see in at least 3 or 4 plays in this playbook, you have a corner route coming from this wide receiver here, Carmichael, or this wide receiver here, Antonio Brown. Okay, in this case, it's Carmichael. And why you want the cover 2 side there is because that cloud flat is going to drift underneath and totally take that route out of the play. Okay, so it'll look something like this. You'll get underneath, you try to throw it, and best case scenario, something like that happens. Worst case and most often case is that you're going to throw an interception there. Okay, so you want to have your cover 2 side over there so you never even have to think about any sort of issues over there. Okay, so that you can that's worry free. You don't have to think about that. So anyway, let's kind of keep going with our adjustments here. So remember, the first one is always to flip your play. Okay, now, the adjustments will start to build up, but once you get the hang of this, I think it's really, really worth it. So we want to put our right outside linebacker in a hard flat. So let's think about what's making the gun bunch tick. What do the players that run it, what do they want to do? I'm thinking of really 2 main things, is that they want to attack the flats, okay, mainly with drag routes coming from the opposite side. So they want to clear out any cloud flats or anything like that with, deep going routes. And then you have a wide receiver coming from the opposite side with speed, and you're going to throw it to him in space, and then he's going to be able to turn up field for at least 10 yards or so. Okay, and then from there, once you start to cheat down on them, you have some really good routes over the top, so different C routes, corner routes, post routes that can get open from there, and then you can just, pick your poison when you want to go under or over all the way down to the end zone. Now, what the kind of idea I have behind this defense here is that I want to take away the underneath options on every single play. Okay, so I want to consistently take that away, make that not even an option for them. And then from there, I want to set up the rest of the defense to take away the key routes. And then, the key routes as in the different post routes or corner, like you just saw there with the cloud flat taking away the corner route. And we'll go over how we take away the different C routes and post routes. And then I really just want to be left with the user to lurk. I don't want to have any sort of responsibility. Oh, you got to take this post route up the field, or you got to take this. I want it to be minimal responsibility and just be able to lurk and pick balls off. Okay, so again, right now we're at 2 adjustments here. Flipping the play, so we aligning the cover 2 side to the trip side. We are going to hard flat our quarter side outside linebacker. We want this middle linebacker over here. We want him in a hook curl, but not just any hook curl. Okay, we don't want him hook curl to the strong side here. We want him on a hook curl to this side. And not only that, we want him still aligned over here. So we'll go over shortly why we want to do that. But yeah, there's 2 ways you can do that. You can move him manually, put him in a hook curl, and then move him back. Or if I reset this, if we flip, what we can do is just baseline, change him to a hook curl, and then baseline again, he'll come right back. So that's really the quickest way to do that. Okay. So after that, you want to put your defensive end as spy. Again, like what I was saying earlier, you always want to spy, because once things start to break down, once they start to scramble with their quarterback, you want to be able to chase him down and get that sack. Okay, so not only is he going to be able to do that, but he's also beneficial in terms of getting in the way of quick slants and quick drag routes over the middle. So he's going to stand up there, and they're not going to be able to throw that quick route right away. So that's going to make them hesitate a bit, and then they're going to have to throw that drag later, and by that time, the hard flat or another hook curl is going to be in his way. Okay, so that's actually a really good person to have there. And then he if it's a run, he plays the run well. Last thing we're going to do, and you might think it's a little crazy, but we're going to put the quarter side cornerback in a cloud flat. Okay, so there are a few reasons for this. Number one reason, he's going to be able to sit underneath this C route and pick it off. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, so worst case scenario, he only gets a bat on it. Best case scenario for you, you get the interception. So we'll run that again, and then we'll go over again why we want to be doing this. Okay. So C route here, and you get your interception. Okay. So reason number one is you want him to be able to pick off those C routes. Reason number two is that if you have any deep crossers from over here and they kind of cross all the way across the field, you might, or even just a slant route from one of these guys, you might not be expecting that cloud flat to be there from the quarter side of the field, and it kind of traps them into throwing that, and then you get an unexpected interception. That's less likely than working that C route over there, but it's still something nice to have. The third reason is that in this formation, you don't actually need a deep zone over there if the trip side is aligned to the boundary. Okay, so what I mean by this is if I put him in a streak, okay, which by the way, very few people actually do, because that pretty much takes him out of the play, right? So if you just streak him, you're not going to do an aggressive catch. Doesn't exist in this game. And that just means he can't have his nice C route or drag route or post route that makes him really valuable in this offensive scheme. So first of all, they'll never do that. But even if they do, if they see you putting that guy in a cloud flat and they try to test you, so let's just show that. And you don't even have to move this guy out. You could probably move him a bit in if you feel kind of safer. But it'll work something like this. He'll get jammed inside, but he'll come right into the path of that quarter. Okay? So now if you're actually using him, you'll be able to click on him and get that easy interception. You can't do it when that solo wide receiver is at the boundary. Okay, so if you're over here, for whatever reason, that quarter from the free safety there won't follow the streak, and in that case, they will get the one-play touchdown. Now, this is where it comes in of who I suggest you actually use her in this scheme. So you can take your pick out of these three guys, really. I wouldn't touch this guy here because actually his hook curl is really nice, and we'll get into that shortly, but he's able to cover really anything coming from this solo wide receiver inside. So if he's on a drag route or a post route, this hook curl is going to muddy that up. You can take this other middle linebacker here. Actually, it'd be something like this. Him in a vert hook here. But he actually does his job pretty well. So you can do that if you want, but preferably, and let me move these guys back. I think you should go for the free safety. And here I'll tell you why. So let me put my adjustments here. Show you how quick it can be. So again, you don't really have a threat going vertical that way. You can watch to see if he does. So if he does go for a streak, then you really have no choice but to follow him. Knowing that if we follow him, there's still a really good combination of zones underneath. I really feel strongly about that. But again, most times he won't be. So if he breaks inside, we know that immediately from there, we have no responsibilities deep. From there, we can just get down into the belly of the play, and we could be a robber. So we're going to be in this whole area here, waiting for any crossing routes, and we're going to drive on it and pick the ball off. Okay? So now you see here, not only have we taken one deep zone out of the play with the cloud flat. But now we're also taking another kind of a half deep zone out of it, you know. We're still keeping an eye on it, but if there's no responsibility there, we're not going to go waste this player. You know, a lot of times if you're running quarters, you have four defenders almost taken out of the play. They're useless. But this way, we only need the deep zones where they need to be. So it's kind of like pseudo match coverage in a sense. You know, there's match coverage in this game, but really it's not done well at all. It's pretty much useless. But you can put some match principles in how you play user defense. We really have only one responsibility here. If he goes vertical, which he almost never does, we'll go vertical, whatever. If he doesn't, we're a +1 over here, where you already have 5 underneath defenders, sorry. So that's going to make things really tough. I want to go back to the situation. If you don't feel comfortable in using this guy, which I really, really think you should. I think that's the way you can get the most out of this defense. If you're using this middle linebacker, and if the solo wide receiver is to the field, then that's fine. You're okay here. But if he's to the boundary, so if your ball is over here, then I would leave... I flipped the wrong side of the ball. Then I would leave that quarter in his quarter zone. I wouldn't put him in a cloud flat. Okay, because he can go for one play touchdown then. Okay, so that's just a little quick thing I want to cover. So let's just go over one more time what we see in the corner strike. The corner route to the right here is taken by the cloud flat. He has no chance there. The table route from Gurley is taken by the hard flat from our quarter side outside linebacker. So right here. The C route from the corner strike is taken by the other cloud flat corner. And then this route, which is not a great route, I don't think people even really use it, is going to be covered by this hook curl. Okay, so let's just run it one last time before we move on. I'm going to try to find the C route. Oh, got crushed by Sue. Okay. So we got the interception there, and let's just take a look at the instant replay just to see how this middle linebacker plays. See, I threw the ball kind of early, but if I didn't throw the ball there, he's going to drift right underneath that in route, and he's going to make a play on if I try to throw the ball there. Okay, so that play, I would say, has pretty much no chance against this coverage. Okay, so that's the corner strike. So because I showed you how we can lock down the C route and the corner route, I won't go over plays like the Z spot. So Z spot, the problem route is the corner route. We see that the cloud flat takes care of that. PA slot post, I won't go over that because we saw that the cloud flat on the solo side takes care of that. I will say, though, that kind of angled seam route right there is also a problem route. But a little pro tip, if you see play action in this formation, it's going to be this play. So if you see play action at all, focus on that route because that's all you need to do. Okay, nothing else is going to be really of importance to you. So if you're a free safety, you just go cheat down on that route. Okay, or if you're the outside linebacker or the middle linebacker over there, you can kind of just follow him up until he meets the CPU free safety. Okay, so I don't think there's anything there. Stick, that corner route, again, we covered that. Corner strike, we did that. Inside cross, the C route, we did. Mesh, the corner route, we did. but it has that nice meshing concept. And I want to go over that, but I'm going to go over that with mesh post. Okay, so we'll do that, and we will make our adjustments. See, not too many adjustments. Okay, so let's run it stock first of all, and then we'll do one of the more popular adjustments here. So again, if you're using the free safety, or if you're using this middle linebacker here, your kind of role is to drift this way. So you want to move with the play this way. So if you have anything like this post here, you want to key on that post, and you want to preferably drift underneath them and then just pick it off. Okay, so you're gonna, kind of sit here for a second while the meshing occurs, but you don't even care about the mesh. You're just gonna be there for a second, because once they pass, they're gonna jump in. They're gonna be covered by the underneath zones, and then you're just gonna kind of drift up underneath the post and pick them off. Same thing with this guy here. You're gonna come here and rob. If they don't throw it right away, you're gonna come back and drift underneath the post. Okay, so let's take a look at how some of these routes develop here. So the problem routes are the drag routes and the post route. So let's run it. I'm gonna try to. Okay, and we got sacked there. So let's look at the instant replay here. I was trying to use 2 controllers there with 2 hands. Worked out okay, I guess. So let's take a look at this drag first. Okay, so he's covered by this middle linebacker for a second. He's covered by the spy for a second. He's covered by the other linebacker for a second. Here he has maybe an opening. In that case, I would have liked to come down a bit more with my free safety. But I don't know, we can kind of test the opponent. Are they going to be able to see that tight window? I don't know. Anyway, by the time he comes out here, the hard flat's there, and he's going to drive on anything. Okay, so he's pretty much bracketed the entire way. Let's take a look at the other drag route. So he's going to kind of get chipped here. He's going to be covered there, covered there. Now look at what happens here. Pretty nice, eh? So this hook curl, like what I was saying before, he's going to take this solo side wide receiver. If he does anything inwards, he's going to take him out of the play. So he almost matches man coverage here and goes all the way across, stride for stride, until, he finally kind of outruns him, but then you have the cloud right there. Okay? Not a bad coverage adjustment, right? So let's get back and do it again. So let's take a look at one of the other ones where they do max protect, and they'll put Antonio Brown on a fade here. But the same thing's going to happen here. What's going to happen is the fade is going to be taken by the deep half over there. The post route is going to be taken by essentially you. Like, he's going to be taken for a second by this middle linebacker if you're not using him, and then you're going to rob him when he kind of crosses back here, or you're going to kind of carry with him for a while if you're using this middle linebacker, which again, I would suggest you don't really. And you could cover him. You could cover him all the way if you want, or until you pass him off to the free safety. It's up to you. By the way, I should say, if I haven't said already, for using the free safety, I would do it until you see if they start to pick up on it and they start to put this receiver on a streak every single play just to get you out of the play. That's when I'd start to change your user. Okay. Otherwise, I would stay on him the whole game, or the whole time that they're in the gun bunch here, until they start to streak him every single play just to get you out of the play. In which case, you can actually. It's up to you. Like, you can go back and put this guy back in a quarter, and then you can still rob over here. But I think it's more beneficial if you have the cloud over there. Okay, let's put everyone back. And get this back. Okay, so let's try to do 2 controllers again. Okay, instant replay before we move on. Okay, we take a look at the fade route. He kind of gets chipped there. He goes through the cloud flat. He goes through the safety. There's nothing there. I go over here to the post. This middle linebacker takes him for a bit, and then I take over with my user. The middle linebacker even kind of goes forever with him, but he's just not going to keep up, so you got to be there. Okay, and then again, this drag route here is taken by the hook curl, the middle linebacker here. He's going to go all the way with him, stride for stride. He catches the ball, gets 2 yards, if that. Did he catch it in bounds? Yeah, 2 yards, big deal. We don't care about that. Okay, so that's the mesh taken out of the play. And same thing with, so this is the mesh post, same thing with mesh corner. Okay, the mesh corner is even easier because the mesh corner is, instead of this guy going on a post route, he's going to go on a corner route, and we know that that cloud flat over there is going to take him no matter what. So that is that. So now let's go back to our summary. So the Z-spot, again, that corner's done, PA slot post. We covered that with the corner strike. Same with stick. We just did mesh post. Corner strike we did. Mesh, just like what I was talking about, it's just like the mesh post, but even easier for us. Inside cross, we did the C. Now, wide receiver post, deep attack, and dig HB out. So they all have the post route from the solo side receiver, but the dig HP out is by far the best. So that's the one we'll go over. And we'll go over here. So let's put everybody in the right zones. Okay, so what really makes this play tick, what makes it so good, is the solo side post route. So he has, first of all, it's unlike most of these S posts, which can genuinely take a really long time to develop. So this one's pretty short, and he breaks it off kind of like at a really nice angle, so he's able to get underneath those safeties. But what's so good about our coverage adjustment here, again, this hook curl takes him out of the play. So let's look at how this develops. Okay, he's out of the play, and he even takes him all the way up the field. So let's take a look at the instant replay. This halfback route is taken out of the play, by the way, from this hard flat. It's nice, actually, like, if we're using the free safety, we could ourselves take care of this post route. But again, like, the whole point of this idea here was to have all the underneath zones really do the important work, take away all the best routes and all the favorite routes out of this formation, and then you're left with a free safety to be a +1 underneath to rob anything that might be even close to open. Okay, so he's going to take him, and he ends up taking him all the way up the field until the strong safety there. So if your opponent tries to squeeze that in, the strong safety who has 91 zone coverage is going to break on that ball. Or in some cases, the cloud flat will get up there and he'll be able to pick him off too. Okay, so let's look at one of the popular adjustments to this, and what Zan showed in his video for mudhead.com is, again, you see the max protect. You get a fade from Antonio Brown here. And then you just get this little hook or curl or whatever from Carmichael that's going to be a playmaker. Okay, so the playmaker is something you got to watch out for, because once things start to break down, which given this adjustment, they're going to break down a lot. So they're going to either scramble, which you have a spy for, or they're going to playmaker, which you have a +1. So remember I was saying, like, most of these routes, like, you don't really have to do anything as a user. You're just there to be an added player to pick the ball off. So this is one of them. But again, like, this Antonio Brown, he's going to be covered. He's ideally going to take that safety out of the play, but now that cornerback is going to get in the mix. So just like this, the hook curls in the way, he's in the way, and that cloud flat's there to make a play on the ball. And as a user, we didn't have to do anything. So that's what's really good about this, in my opinion. And I believe let me just show that one more time. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay. Hook curls there, going all the way. And then he kind of stops there too. So you can just see how good this is already. So I want to wrap this up by just saying how I kind of even decided to go to the cover 6 here. Just another kind of way I want to convince you of why you should be running the cover 6 and why you should be running this cover 6 with adjustments that I just showed you here. The options that you have, really, man coverage obviously is going to get torched by any sort of corner routes, post routes, whatever. Cover 3 and cover 4, the cloud flats coming from the slot defenders rather than the corner, I don't think is nearly as good as having the cloud flat from the corner in terms of stopping C routes or stopping post routes or corner routes or whatever. Well, not post routes. They're not going to do that. So that's really good. But also you don't have the problem with, like, cover 3 can be beaten really easily for one play touchdowns, and even cover 4 too. Cover 2 itself has some issues because in order to make it viable, you need to put the middle linebacker in a deep third, but that's really committing way too many resources, in my opinion, for the deep area of the field, where we know, like I showed you there, there's really only one spot of the field that they can do that on, and that's to the trip side, but you have a deep half defender there. And with the cover 6, you can drop that quarter zone down, and then you can use it at free safety because, you know, even he doesn't really have too many responsibilities. You can be aggressive on any post routes, or you can be aggressive on any shallow crossers and things like that. So that's really why I like it there. And then just because I thought of it, I kind of forgot until right now, I want to just add one last bonus tip before I sign off here. Okay, so one last bonus tip: if you are running against an opponent has their solo receiver to the boundary here, and you take the version of this where you are using this middle linebacker, okay, and you can't put this guy in the cloud flat because he can get burnt over the top. In order to stop the C route here, one thing you can do is just go press coverage and go man coverage on this guy, and then maybe even shade outside. So that usually messes up the C route and makes it really tough. You see that? Okay, so that's one option I'd do there, and then or I would cloud flat this outside linebacker. But then you got to realize there you're going to be vulnerable underneath in that area. But at least it's to the boundary, so they're going to have a lot less space to deal with. So if they throw the table route there, you know, it's not devastating, but it's there. So that's ideally what we don't want to happen. Or sorry, that's in a non-ideal case. Like, we don't want to be in that position. Ideally, we're going to be using this free safety here, and we're going to be having a high-low concept here with a hard flat and a cloud flat. Okay, so that's it. Again, if you appreciated this, please leave a like. I think it really helps me out. And I want to hear from you guys if you see anything that you think might be able to be exploited. If there's one of the plays that are actually really good that I missed, let me know. and then let me know if it's going well for you if you tried it out. Okay, we'll see you in the next one.